Namaskar friends, I am back again with the second lecture of the ninth module of the stress management course. We are continuing with the module focusing on individual differences in stress tolerance, and the second lecture in continuation with the first one talks about the personality types and the related health outcomes. So, let us begin with the content. Here is a quick recap of what we are going to learn in this particular section. We will see how personality type A, B and C differs with respect to their reaction to stressful situations, what kind of health outcomes can occur for people with personality A, with personality B and with personality type C. Researchers indicate that there are significant differences in the way people with different personality types approach the stressful situation and how do they react to them. Moreover, the aligned health outcomes also differ for different personality types. For example, people who have personality type A are found to suffer more from coronary heart diseases under stress, unlike those with personality B, because personality type B is more relaxed, they are more inclined to work on their own pace. So, their risk for developing coronary heart diseases in response to stress is much less than what is there with type A people. At the same time, people with personality type C are found to suffer from different kind of cancers. Why this happens? Maybe because of their tendency to suppress emotions instead of ventilating them in an appropriate manner. Here are some research findings which I have summarized for you. One is from Friedman and Rosenman, who studied the link between stress and personality types in a group of 3,200 middle-aged men. They found that type A personalities who displayed more hostility during interviews were more likely to develop coronary heart disease compared to type B personalities. Type A individuals also showed higher blood pressure and cholesterol level as compared to their counterparts coming from personality type B and C. Similarly, the research conducted by Dombrowski and his team in 1989 revealed a strong connections between the trait hostility in type A personalities and the likelihood of developing coronary heart diseases. This is a flow chart which I have prepared to explain this correlation in a better manner. These are the characteristics of type A personality. So, what do they have? They have an insecurity and inadequate self-esteem. They always want to achieve more and more to boost their self-esteem based on different kind of achievements, different kind of accomplishments. Moreover, they have a very keen sense of time urgency. That means they have to do a lot of things in very less time. So, the deadlines, the pressure, the time constraint is very high, and they suffer from hyper aggressiveness, means they will respond to the situation with a basic level of aggression and hostility. Moreover, they have free floating hostility. Now, this is something very important. Free floating hostility means their trait of hostility is high. So, it can happen in response to any of the antecedent situation. It is not linked to a particular situation or a particular stimulus, and whenever that situation occurs or that stimulus confronts the person, only then they are going to show their hostile behavior. No, this does not happen. What happens? They have a lot of hostility in them which is free floating. If anything is free floating, it can go anywhere, like a paper boat floating on a river. It can go anywhere with the stream of the river. Similarly, so much of hostility ingrained in their personality exhibits itself in multiple situations. Therefore, it seems as if the hostility is freely flowing and it can happen in response to almost any stimulus, big or small. Sometimes very simple small things can trigger their hostility. What happens? As a result of all these things, there is a deterioration in their personality. Gradually, their personality starts getting negative. If you suffer from aggression, time constraint, hostility repeatedly, obviously the negative emotions will be dominant in that person as compared to relaxing or positive emotions. So, there is a gradual declination of personality, deterioration of personality. Then what happens? In addition to this general deterioration, they get emotionally exhausted. We usually notice that whenever we suffer from very intense emotion, we experience very intense emotions of any kind, may it be positive or negative, at the end of the emotional state, we find ourselves completely exhausted. We find a lack of energy, So, this emotional exhaustion is very common for people with type A personality. Again a cause of stress. Why I am highlighting all these things? Because they all serve as potential stressors in the life of people, or they can aggravate the perception of a stress which is caused by any other parallel precipitator, any other parallel stressor which is already there, which is operating, but its impact will be 1000 times increased because of their own personality characteristics, because their own predisposition to behave in a certain manner which is not very accommodative. And then what happens? There are pathophysiological process. If you are angry all the time, if you are charged with negative emotions all the time, what will happen? That kind of people are going to have high cortisol levels, and that cortisol is going to mobilize the stored glucose into the bloodstream, causing a state normally referred to as hyperglycemia or diabetes in common terms. And once a person become diabetic, he or she is at a greater risk of developing a number of diseases, right? Then what happens? Because of the deterioration of personality, they want to damage something, break something, they want to harm something, and usually when they do not get any soft target to do so, or when the situation does not allow to express such intense aggressive emotions, it is converted or redirected inwards, leading to self destruction. They start engaging in behavior which is harmful for themselves. It could be smoking, it could be consuming alcohol, it could be taking very high amount of caffeine, or it could be anything, simply anything. What happens further? There is a clear link between self-destruction behavior, the pathophysiological processes, and the emotional exhaustion with coronary heart diseases. That is why it has been repeatedly pointed out that type A people are at a very high risk of developing coronary heart diseases as compared to their counterparts who are having type B or type C personalities. Now, what happens with type B personality? They are easygoing, they are relaxed, they are flexible in their approach. This is very important that they are flexible, they are ready to accommodate changes in their way of working, changes in what they have planned. So, they are ready to accommodate, flexible enough, and they are in contrast more driven and ambitious. It is in contrast with type A personality, which is highly ambitious and all the time driven by the goal directed behavior, that they have to do something, they have to do something, that too in less and less of time. Type B per individuals are very cool, they are very relaxed, they are very flexible, but at the same time they suffer from strong tendency of procrastination. Again the term which you might have heard several times before as well. So, procrastination means a tendency where I realize the importance of a task. I am genuinely interested to do the task. I am interested in that task. Somehow the task is very important to me. It can bring me thousands of positive outcomes, but I somehow keep delaying working for that particular task. It happens with us all. We know that we have to submit an assignment timely, the deadline is given, then the deadline is approaching, but we keep lingering the assignment more and more and more, and ultimately what happens, we are left with only a day or simply a few hours to complete that important assignment, right. So, this is a big risk, and this particular tendency of type B people frequently put them in highly stressful situations. If I am left with no time or very little time to complete an important assignment, I am definitely going to experience high level of stress, and then I may not be able to understand how to manage it. So, time management skill is very important for type B people, and they have very poor time management because they suffer from procrastination. Then type C personality type is similar to type A personality in some respect. For example, they are also ambitious, they are also goal directed, but they also differ significantly from people having type A personality. Why? Because they do not compromise the quality of their social relationships in order to attain those goals. So, somehow this is a basic difference, and we also know that they suffer from a tendency of helplessness. So, they may feel that okay, I have this goal, but I do not know whether I will be able to do it successfully or not, because there are several factors, several external factors which decides the success of this particular thing. So, what happens that research findings let us know that there is a strong connection between personality type C and a risk of developing cancer. They do not show depression by and large, but the risk of developing cancer is very high. And why is this tendency there? Because they try to repress their feelings, try to suppress their feeling. Means I value relationships a lot. So, I will hesitate telling other people that I am not satisfied with their behavior. I will not be able to tell others that their behavior keeps hurting me all the time, because I fear I am going to lose my relationships, or I am going to destroy the quality of relationships I have if I tell my real emotions towards those people or the actions performed by them. So, I try to keep my emotions with me only. I try not to express them. I want to suppress them or repress them strongly, which can put type C people at an increased risk of cancer. So, these are some more traits that we frequently find. Introversion, which prefers a low stimulating setting. They have limited social energy, and if they are put into a situation where they are asked to interact a lot with so many people, they may find it very stressful. So, they prefer being with small groups or maybe alone. So, their context of stress is one in which they need to interact with many people simultaneously, and that too for a long period of time. Shyness is another thing which can put somebody in a stressful situation, because it encompasses a fear of negative social judgment, and usually evaluation or judgment is something that cannot be avoided, in any circumstance. If you do anything, even strangers will start judging you for your actions, for your looks, for your behaviors. And if I fear a lot from negative social judgment, I am very sensitive towards rejections, I am going to suffer from high level of stress unavoidably. Social anxiety disorder is also a thing which can put people under stress, because it is frequently accompanied by mental stress, overwhelming fear of humiliation in front of others, and fear and anxiety may trigger avoidance reaction in people having SAD disorders. This was all for this segment. Let us have a quick recap. We have learned till now about the connections between a specific personality type and the health related outcomes for them, and we have found that researchers conclude there is a higher risk of developing coronary heart diseases in type A persons, whereas type C personalities suffer from developing cancers more than their counterparts. Type B personality are not specifically they are not having specific tendencies to develop a particular disorder, but they get into stress because of their tendency of procrastination and poor time management. That's all. Hope you have enjoyed the lecture, and as always, this is the list of references that you can go through for further reading. The list continues. Some more references for you, whichever you find suitable and easily available to you. Thank you very much for your kind attention.